safe, stay connected, and share resources. And Angelinos are stepping up to help. So reach out and find the assistance you need. Mutual Aid LA Network is constantly updating a Google Sheet with mutual aid resources. You can find it at tiny.cc-malan-fire. The earlier you make a plan, the better off you'll be when every second counts. Praying for LA, preparing, and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
Oh, what you gonna do? You wanna get down? Tell me. Oh, what you gonna do? Do you wanna get down? Oh, what you gonna do? You wanna get down? Oh, what you gonna do? You wanna get down? Tell me. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Come on in. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. Get down on it. How you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall. Get your back up off the wall. Tell me, how you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance? By standing on the wall. Get your back up off the wall. 'Cause I heard all the people saying, get down on it.
Man, I hate to step on Kool in the Gang. That's one of my favorite Kool in the Gang tracks, Miles. I love this track. Play a little longer, just a little bit longer.
Baby, baby, get on it. I say, people, what you gonna do?
Okay, it is talk radio. It's talk radio. It's talk radio. Sometimes I get caught up in it as a music lover. But I love that track from Kool in the Gang. Okay, in this hour, our final hour today, a career conversation with Academy Award-winning writer and director Kevin Wilmot. I look forward to what I expect and hope will be a rich exchange about the power of telling stories that matter, stories like Black Klansmen, etc., etc., etc. Kevin Wilmot, how are you today, sir?
Very good, my friend. How you doing?
Man, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I'm doing well, and delighted to have you on this program. It's let me start at an awkward place, at a really, really awkward place. And I start here because it is the breaking news of this hour. We've all seen, and everybody's reaching out to me and telling me about it, and everybody's upset, and it is what it is, because he is who he is. But we see this story circulating now that Donald Trump didn't waste any time blaming this airplane crash, commercial airplane and military helicopter crash last night in D.C. Into the Potomac. Didn't waste any time blaming it literally just moments ago on DE&I. He blamed it on Joe Biden. He blamed it on Barack Obama. And we don't know nothing yet about what caused this horrific crash. But leave it to Trump to step to the podium and go in, playing his politics. This guy is out of control, no question about it, but he knows something about storytelling. He knows something about messaging. Again, it seems like a strange frame, perhaps, but we live in a moment now where, in many ways, I could argue that the victory goes to those who are the best storytellers, those who know how to get their narrative across. Would you agree or disagree?
100%. 100%. I've been ranting about that for the last couple of weeks here.
Yeah. Tell me more about the way, again, and we'll do this right quick and dispense of it, but tell me more about the way you have seen and watched and opined and obviously been chagrined and suffered all kind of angst about the way he does it. But what have you noticed about the way he does it? Trump, that is.
Sure. Well, one of the things I think our side could learn from him, and he's kind of an expert at it, and is that he gives people a place to put their anger. And that to me is his whole shtick. That's what he did today. I watched a news conference that he blamed the crash on DEI.
Yeah.
And what people like him do, authoritarians like him do, dictator types like him do, what they do is they look for opportunities to spin, and not just spin, but target and frame and define. And it's the framing and the defining that is the real thing that people should be really, I would argue, frightened about right now.
Yeah.
Because kind of what he did in this moment with the DEI thing and the crash, I mean, he literally takes over the media. I mean, the media has really no response to what he, I mean, they're not equipped to kind of respond in the way that they need to respond, which is kind of, it's so outside the norm that they don't know how to respond. Mm-hmm. So he gets up there and he blames his crash. It's not even been investigated. It just happened, a few hours ago, really. Mm-hmm. And by the way, I live in Kansas, and the flight was from Wichita, Kansas. Yeah. And so I just want to give my sympathies to folks out there. But what he did was that he was able to, and you see it in movies all the time, really. Mm-hmm. Where you take an incident, you take anything that kind of gets the attention of the public in a major way, and that's when you strike. That's when you define and label, and really more than anything, that's when you create the enemy.
Hold that thought. It's going to be a rich hour. Kevin Wilmot is off and running. And I didn't know how he was even going to take to me framing this conversation at the outset in the way that I did. I hoped he'd played nicely in the sandbox. Indeed, he is. It's going to be a rich hour. We're going to talk about framing and defining and labeling. I'm still stuck on that first answer that he gives. Donald Trump gives people a place to put their anger. I want to explore and interrogate that, but it'd be laughable if it weren't so serious. But DE&I has been blamed for bridges collapsing, fires starting, now planes crashing. Go figure. Kevin Wilmot for the hour on Tavis Smiley.
Interrogating and unpacking. That's what we do around here. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance by checking Allstate first. Like, to check you have a full tank of gas first before road tripping through the desert.
Empty? Seriously? Maybe I can walk.
Yeah, checking first is smart. So check Allstate first for a quote that could save you hundreds.
Maybe I can't.
You're in good hands with Allstate.
Savings vary. Terms apply. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Consult a doctor prior to use.
Wow, you look amazing. What have you been doing?
I'm sure you've heard of Ozempic, Wegovy, and the other GLP-1 medications, right? Well, I found this great company called Zelfie. If you qualify, their providers can prescribe medications like Ozempic and Wegovy and other GLP-1 medications that are 80 to 90% less expensive, all 100% online.
I can get GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% less and do it all online? No doctor's office or pharmacy?
Yes, Zelfie can provide semaglutide or tirzepatide, the active ingredients in Ozempic and other expensive GLP-1s, but for 80 to 90% less and shipped directly to your door.
How do I get started with Zelfie?
Just send them a text.
Text BEST to 200-300 to get started today with Zelfie. Get the same active ingredients in Wegovy or Ozempic, but for 80 to 90% less and 100% online. Don't wait. Text BEST to 200-300 right now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text BEST to 200-300. That's BEST to 200-300. BEST to 200-300.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your nature-made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Kevin Wilmot, Academy Award-winning writer and director, talking in this hour about the power of telling stories that matter, the power of on-point storytelling, and whether you like or loathe him, agree or disagree, Donald Trump knows how to get his story out. He's done it again today. We were talking hours ago about a plane crash, and now we're talking about Donald Trump. Blaming the plane crash on DE&I and Biden and Obama. And as I said a moment ago, in case you've just tuned in, it's amazing how one thing, DE&I in this case, can be to blame for bridges collapsing and fires starting, wildfires, plane crashes. It's all the fault of diversity, equity, and inclusion. It'd be laughable, as I said earlier, if this stuff wasn't so serious. But Kevin Wilmot has got me going already. My whole crew was here in the studio, Kevin, during that break, just dissecting what you've already said. Let me just go a little deeper then. And by going deeper, I want to start with this. When you said earlier, and I'm still noodling on this, still marinating on this, when you said earlier that what Trump does so majestically, if I can use that word, so magically, so brilliantly, is to give people a place to put their anger. Now that resonates with me. It resonates in part because we live in a country where there is a lot of anger. There is a lot of angst, and to the extent that you are the one that has figured out a way to give people a place to place that anger, I can see why you're the winner. So tell me more about that concept, how he's mastered that concept, and why the left hasn't done as well with giving people a place to put their anger.
Well, he knows that thing you just said, Tavis, that there's a lot of I would say misplaced anger. Sure. So what he specifically tries to identify and seek out is the misplaced anger, because that's the low hanging fruit, right? Right. And so what he does is he takes that misplaced anger, or just kind of stewing anger, not knowing where to place it, and he goes and he says, I agree with you 100%. You know what I dislike those same people you dislike. I'm going to blame those same people you're blaming. He doesn't then have to do anything in response to it except give them a place to put the anger. He doesn't have to respond to the anger. Right. I mean, he doesn't respond to anything. You know, but he makes you feel like he's identifying with you. That he represents you. He represents your feelings. See, that's the big one. I mean, that's what storytelling is all about. Storytelling is about giving people a place to put their feelings. And so what he does is literally this morning he got up there and he told a story. He told a big, huge. It's like the Nazis used to say: the bigger the lie, the more they believe it. Yeah. So he told a big lie, big, huge, crazy lie, and probably to those people that believe that affirmative action, diversity is a problem. He spoke like, the Heavenly Father to them, I mean, so and so that's the thing. I mean, and what we don't do, we typically, when our side gets angry, we usually tell them calm down. We tell them, when young people got angry, I'm a college professor, right? When young people got angry, just was this last election, was on campus, upset about the Gaza thing, complicated issue, right?
That's
complicated
right.
issue.
I see where you're going. I see where you're going. I see where you're going.
But we kind of told them just calm down and don't go away. Don't be doing that. And that then gives him the space to place his lie. Yeah. Because you've not filled your space, that empty space, with the truth.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. I think that's kind of why we're losing right now.
I know that Kevin Wilmot has a PGA card and a DGA card and an SGA card and a DGA card. He got all his cards, but Negro, you need a license to preach. You are preaching right now, and you need a license to do that. You got me going up in here, man. So here's what I'm thinking while you're talking, Kevin. Here's what I'm thinking. It is the left who has mastered storytelling. Hollywood is the left. The left is Hollywood. They are synonymous. Nobody tells stories better than Hollywood, and Hollywood is run by the left. We are the ones who make these movies that you referenced earlier. So how is it that we can run Hollywood, and you know the connection between Hollywood and Washington, L.A. and Washington? Why is it that we have not mastered this?
I think we're afraid of it, Tavis.
Afraid of what? Afraid of what?
This whole thing we're talking about.
Right.
We're afraid of anger. We think anger. I mean, you're a scholar of Dr. King. You know, Dr. King was not afraid of anger.
No way.
You know, he was not afraid of anger, right? I mean, anger that leads to violence is of course wrong, but anger, you know, that is directed toward justice and fairness and beauty is a great thing. Mm-hmm. And they're, you know, we just get afraid of anger. Our side gets afraid of anger, just in general, you know, and we associate anger with violence, but anger and violence are two different things. And, you know, it doesn't, I mean, Trump has nothing but anger on his side.
Yeah.
And his people will fall off the edge of a cliff for him, because they believe, like a cult religion, that he represents their feelings, and it's that feeling thing that we're not. When I watch the news, I rant to my poor wife all the time about how, you know, the people that respond to this stuff, they never talk about it in emotional terms. They never, you know, I mean, most people don't know what authoritarian even means. You know, they don't. I mean, they know what maybe dictator means, right? You know, so you have to break things down to see. You know, Trump speaks in like a 6th grade level or so, 7th grade maybe at best.
At best, yeah.
At best, and that's one of his big time strengths. Because no one walks away from Trump not understanding what he meant.
But the left, but every time he does it, though, the left laughs at it. We laugh at him because we think he's not communicating effectively. We laugh when he repeats himself 2 or 3 times and uses small words. It's like he's struggling to find the language to communicate what he wants to say. It appears that way. But to your point, he's speaking 4th, 5th, 6th grade level. We laugh at him, but apparently that works.
That's the majority of Americans.
Yeah.
It's just the reality of it. That's the majority of Americans. I mean, I live in Kansas. I live out in the middle state of the Midwest. And I grew up out here. It's a white world I live in. We have, you know, pockets of black folks, but it's a white world. And those folks love Trump. And they love Trump because that he speaks not just to them, but like them.
Yeah, that's it. That's the key phrase. That's the phrase.
That he speaks like them. I mean, there's nothing complicated about what he says. And, you know, that's one of the things that we get labeled with this elite thing.
Yeah.
And it's because we're educated. Right? I mean, we work. I mean, you have one of the best vernaculars of anybody I've ever heard. And you know, we work really hard at trying to be, you know, literate and scholarly and intelligent. That's not the power of what he does. It's the exact opposite of that. It's the power of what he does.
So then talk to me. You teed this up earlier. Let me clear some space for you to go a little deeper on framing, defining, and labeling. And I'm deliberately not coloring the question or seeding it more than that to give you all the canvas you need to paint. But talk to me then in this moment when it comes to the power of storytelling, the power of narrative, about framing, defining, and labeling. Kevin Wilmot, you brilliant Negro, you.
Well, Tavis, the deal is that in storytelling, in every movie you're going to see, there is what's called an inciting incident.
Mm-hmm.
And what you saw today was the crash was the inciting incident.
Mm-hmm.
And so the crash gives him then the space and the opening to then define the incident with his agenda.
Go on, Kevin.
And ultimately his lie.
Mm.
And so every kind of dystopian science fiction type film about dictators taking over, typically they take over because of a horrible incident or horrible kind of disaster that has happened.
Mm-hmm.
Handmaid's Tale is about there's some kind of thing that has happened, there's some kind of disaster that has happened, and women no longer can have kids. So the people who can have kids have all this power, and so they literally kind of take women and turn them into slaves so that the upper class can have children. But it's all predicated on taking advantage of a disaster, taking advantage of a horrible event. In Nazi Germany, it was the economy. So that gave Hitler the opening to say, the Jews are the problem.
Mm.
So that's kind of, you saw a mini version of that today. You saw kind of a localized, small room version of that today. But the fearful, scary thing that Americans should be very, concerned about is that that's always kind of how it starts. It kind of starts in this small version of the story.
Yeah.
And then it grows.
Yeah.
And then things happen. I mean, who knows what's going to happen in the next 4 years? We didn't think COVID was going to happen. And COVID comes in, kills 1 million people, right?
Yeah.
And when those things happen, and then you have propaganda that comes in and points and labels and defines who the enemy is and who the cause of the bad thing is, then you got serious problems.
Yeah. All Donald Trump needs, I love how Kevin is weaving this so beautifully. All he needs is an inciting incident. And I can assure you, over the next 4 years, maybe over the next 4 hours, there will be an inciting incident. And as long as let me pause for a second here. It does mean something to have the ability, the capacity, the nose to sniff out what an inciting incident is, Kevin.
Yes.
Yeah. He does that better than most. He knows how to spot an inciting incident, does he not?
The Central Park 5 was an inciting incident.
There you go.
So he saw that as an opportunity. He saw I was living in New York at the time. That's when I was going to school there.
Yeah.
And when that incident happened, it just you remember it just took over the city.
Yep.
When that was a horrible crime and it just took over the city and the whole city was angry and the whole city wanted blood. They wanted the culprits that had done this. And remember they were talking about wilding and all that stuff, right? All that stuff was in the press and the papers, big headlines. And then when these 5 young men were brought in, he saw that as an opportunity to define, label, and then benefit from the hatred toward them.
Yeah.
And that's his playbook.
Yeah.
That's his playbook. And it's amazing that we get handed opportunities too, but we don't tend to take advantage of them, Tavis.
Yeah.
We don't. Give you one example. I was thinking about this the other day. With the horrible immigration raids that are going on around the country right now.
Sure.
Democrats, the left, whoever you want to call it, had the opportunity to, and this was something they were already doing, but they didn't explain it. One of the things that we don't do very well is we don't explain things to people.
Mm-hmm.
We don't take the time to explain. See, he does things that are so simple they don't need explanation, you know.
Yeah.
But we do things that are more complicated, so you have to explain them. You have
That's
to explain.
right.
You have to take the time to explain things a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so one of the things that we could have done is, if we had, because we were doing this when Biden and Obama, and they were going after these horrible criminal types that were undocumented, and we could have done that, just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And just don't go after the innocent people, the innocent that have committed crime. No, but you could end up maybe saving them by going after the criminals, because they're just a small portion of the whole group, right?
Yeah. No, I want to. I'm looking at my clock here. I want to connect two dots that you've caused me at least to wrestle with, and I'll do it when we come forward. You heard Kevin Wilmot earlier in the conversation say that on the left we're always trying to impress people with our braininess, with our intellect, and Donald Trump is speaking at a 3rd, 4th, 5th grade level. But there's a couple of dots to be connected between us being smarter or thinking we're smarter, and then assuming that everybody else understands. So if you assume that everybody else understands, you don't take time to explain. I'll drill down more into that when we come forward. And I want to talk to Kevin as well about black folk in particular and storytelling. It seems to me that nobody does it best in our music, in all the arts that we are connected to. We're pretty good storytellers. I want to talk about that part as well. We'll continue our dialogue with this Academy Award-winning writer and director, Kevin Wilmot, when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
For all the freedom-loving folk, this is Tavis Smiley.
I feel like freedom.
Cashback is not available on gas in New Jersey and Wisconsin.
Hey, good morning. You're heading to the airport, right?
Yep, thanks for checking. I like the car. How long have you been a rideshare driver?
About 3 years now, but I really enjoy it.
Isn't it hard to make money these days with the price of gas being so high?
Not for me. I use Upside, the free app that gives you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get real money back when you get gas with the Upside app?
Yep, I get real cash back every time I get gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
I'll make around $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the Upside app now.
Download the free Upside app now to earn real cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code MOTOR for an extra 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank account, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code MOTOR for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code MOTOR.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 things you should know with BIN News. Wednesday night's plane crash near Reagan National Airport is the most serious U.S. air disaster in years. The last major crash was in 2009 when a Colgan Air flight near Buffalo killed 50 people. This crash involved an American Airlines jet with 64 people and an Army Black Hawk helicopter. Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s first confirmation hearing is over. He faced tough questions on his views concerning vaccines and abortion. He returns to Capitol Hill today for another hearing. President Trump is signing an executive order to prioritize federal funds for expanding school choice programs. Within 60 days, the Secretary of Education will declare how states can use federal funds for K-12 educational choice initiatives. And a new poll shows 85% of Greenlanders do not want to join the United States following President Trump's call for Denmark to give up control. Only 6% are in favor, with 9% undecided. I'm Bree Wood on the Black Information Network, your home for Black News First.
Think It Up is an initiative to activate student-powered, teacher-led learning projects. Students and teachers, how can you spark great learning experiences in your classrooms today? Join at thinkitup.org.
Is this the time? This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Clippers' offense was very productive last night at San Antonio. Kawhi Leonard and Norman Powell each dropped 27 points to help the Clippers beat the Spurs 128-116. Leonard played a season-high 29 minutes. Ivica Zubac had 21 points and 22 rebounds. The Clippers are at Charlotte Friday. The Lakers are back in action tonight. They're at Washington, a team with the worst record in the NBA. The Wizards are 6-40 and have lost 15 straight. The Lakers won't have Anthony Davis tonight. A good time for the Lakers to regroup and show some mental toughness on their 4-game road trip. USC's women's basketball team, ranked number 4 in the country, is playing their first home game in 18 days. USC is at the Galen Center tonight to host Minnesota. The Trojans have won 14 straight. Trojan star Juju Watkins remains the nation's number 3 scorer with 24.8 points per game. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
If you were self-employed or a 1099 contractor and missed work because you had COVID or cared for an immediate family member with COVID in 2021, you may qualify for up to $32,000 for the Sick and Family Leave Credit. Visit taxcreditnow.com.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Sometimes he fails at fitting in, but we're okay with that. You're inside the Tavis Smiley Show.
You are indeed with our guest, Kevin Wilmot, Academy Award-winning writer and director, talking about the power of narrative, the power of storytelling, the power of telling stories that matter. And Kevin has been an amazing partner, co-host in this hour, talking about the things that I just referenced, namely what it means in this American moment to be able to get your story out. Harry Belafonte, as most of you know, was a dear friend of mine. I called him Mr. B. And he used to tell me all the time, Tavis, your mission is to get the world to sing your song. That's how he put it. You got to get the world to sing your song. And we're in a moment now where if we are going to turn the tide against all that threatens to implode this experiment in democracy, we better get around to learning how to tell our story. And get people to respond to the narrative that we advance. And nobody better to help us do that than Kevin Wilmot, because he's done it so well that Hollywood has honored him in a variety of ways for being such a great storyteller. And that's what we're talking about in this hour. Broadly speaking, I'm delighted to have him on. Watching my timer, Kevin's getting away from me, and I'm enjoying this immensely. I was just saying, connecting dots to what you said earlier in this dialogue about the left always wanted to prove how smart we are, and Donald Trump talking at a 4th or 5th, 6th grade level, and it seems to work for him quite nicely. It seems to me there's a connection between one's intellect, between one's brilliance, between one's way of seeing the world, and the assumption that other folk understand. So if you assume they understand, then to your point, you don't take the time to explain. It's one of the things I try to do on this show all the time. When I have guests come on and they will make a reference to this, that, or the other, or use some acronym or whatever, I'm like, hold up, let's explain that. I want to make sure that everybody listening to me who may not all be on the same intellectual level understand what we're talking about. So I will slow the guests down and invite them to explain what they just said, and then we move forward. But I think that may be one of the transgressions of the left, to pick up on your point, that we just don't take the time to explain, perhaps because we think we're smarter than everybody else.
Big time, big time. I mean, it is. I think the reason that people aren't worried about democracy. I mean, I don't think people know what democracy is right now. And man, it's not that we're stupid. You gotta understand when I'm a little older than you, but when I was a kid, 7th grade, we had a civics class. We had a civics class, and they made sure that you understood basic democratic principles that govern our nation. They don't have those classes anymore. They haven't had those classes for a long time. And you can get by in American life now knowing very little about how government runs, about what democracy is, about the history of this country or the world, and you just end up living in a very small little. I call it. Everybody's got their own channel now. So they kind of live in their own channel, and that's one of the reasons why. When we were talking about democracy, I don't think people connect with that. I think you've got to, that thing you're saying about you've got to emotionally connect the feeling of these things that we're talking about to democracy.
Yeah.
And you have to explain it to people in emotional terms.
Yeah.
Not in intellectual terms, emotional terms, because that's where the story. I mean, like say when Harry Belafonte's saying, get people to sing your song, he's basically saying get people to tell your story and know your story, which is ultimately their story.
That's right.
So when you can get people to kind of think that the national story is their story. See, right now, Trump has made people believe that his story he's telling is the national story.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not. I mean, it's still we still outnumber him.
Yeah.
But we don't show up, and we're not enthused, and we're not fighting like we should be against this madness. Yeah. And that's the big fear of today.
To your point about connecting to people on and in emotional ways, emotional terms, it seems to me that our best work is done, and by our I mean all of us. I don't care what lane you run in. I'm a talk show host and an author and other things. Kevin is an Academy Award-winning writer and director. But whatever lane you are running in, your best work is done when you connect to the humanity in other people. Yes. Or when people, put another way, can situate their humanity in your work, your witness, your writing, your offering, your art, whatever it is. People need to situate their humanity in your stuff. Tell me then, Kevin, how one does that successfully. How, whatever your calling is, your avocation, your work and your witness, how do you get people, as a writer, in your case, a director, to situate their humanity in the work that you do?
Well, in storytelling, it's a big part of it is making people invest in your hero, making people and investing in the hero is really kind of understanding their challenges and their pain and their goal in life. And again, I think Trump does an amazing job of making people believe that he's kind of speaking to them in some sad, kind of messed up way. I mean, people have a lot of grievances, I mean, I grew up in Kansas, and so I can go just a few miles out of town and be in an all-white town. And I've made movies out there, and I've shot things, and those people are nice folks, but they don't understand a lot of things about what's happening in American life, and they only hear one side of the story now. I mean, one of the examples I've been giving is that, you appreciate this, Tavis, that if Fox News had been around when Dr. King was was doing the Birmingham campaign, for instance, they would have said those fire hoses, they would have had a news thing that would have said those fire hoses were totally justified, and they were attacking white women, and those young men were attacking white women, and they would have had another side of the story. And because there was only 3 channels then, and all 3 of the channels gave the same narrative, told the same story about Dr. King. There might have been some critical things on the periphery somewhere, but as a whole, everybody said that's really wrong what you just saw. And that gave King the power to capitalize on that and to get people to invest in the civil rights struggle and invest in the pain of black people.
Yes.
And that's and right now he is selling a thing of saying you don't have to invest in anything that they say. Yeah. Don't invest in their pain, does not matter to you. Their struggle is a struggle that is over with. They use Obama as the example of everything's fine, everything's equal. Yeah. And that works because we haven't taken the time to really explain how complicated and how there's still a great deal of work to do.
Kevin was saying earlier in this conversation, you recall his reference to these students who were targeted for their pro-Palestinian demonstrations on any number of college campuses. Donald Trump continues this week signing his this long list, this myriad list of executive orders. He signed one yesterday to promote what he calls patriotic education in the classroom. Patriotic education. You can see where this is headed, right? The executive order was among several the president signed, meant to steer American schools and universities to adopt Republican priorities, such as restricting how schools discuss racism and gender issues. So now schools are being instructed to promote patriotic education in the classroom. I digress. I think you take my point. More with Kevin Wilmot when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley. It's KBLA Talk 1580's third annual Black History Month luncheon, and you're invited. This is year 2 of our climate justice work, and this year's $2 million 12-month campaign is all about linking and combating the relationship between climate and black health. We already know that these wildfires will leave in their wake even greater inequities, including negative impacts on black health, given the toxic air pollutants circulating in the air we breathe. So, as part of this year's climate campaign, we're honoring black doctors and leaders in healthcare at our annual Black History Month luncheon. Friday, February 28th at noon. If you would like to join us, just go to our KBLA 1580 website and register for your chance to be our guest at the luncheon. We'd love to see you. And in case you haven't heard the news, KBLA Talk 1580 was just named one of the semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down.
Well, good morning, kiddo. I love that you're home from college. I've missed you.
Still taking your nature-made vitamins?
Every day. A multivitamin and a probiotic. You better be taking yours.
Still looking out for me, Mom.
I'll never stop.
Made to care for you every day. Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist-recommended vitamin and supplement brand. Find us in the vitamin aisle, based on a survey of pharmacists who recommend branded vitamins and supplements.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black.
And the top-rated African-American talk show host in the nation, according to Talkers Magazine. You're tapped in with Tavis Smiley right now.
You've done this rather well, Kevin Wilmot, as a black man, Academy Award-winning writer and director. The Confederate States of America, Black Klansman. I could do it all day long running his credits. His IDM, what is it? I can't even get it right. IDMB or IMDB?
IMDb.
Yeah, whatever it is. You can go to Kevin's page and look at all the stuff he has done, but he's done some amazing work. I am particularly fascinated and curious to get your take on how you regard, again, not coloring this question any more than this, but how you regard the historical impact, the historical imprint of black folk and storytelling in the arts.
Well, I think the power of our story is that we have a story to tell. I mean, it's one of the real benefits of being black. I mean, we're the great comics because we've taken our pain and we've turned it into humor, and our pain, is kind of so deeply kind of entrenched in who we are that we can utilize it in artistic ways, and that's our power. That's our kind of our superpower, really. And I would argue a little bit that we're kind of rejecting that some right now.
Rejecting it how?
Well, occasionally I run into young people and they say, "Oh, I hate these movies about slavery, and I hate these movies about the civil rights thing, and I'm so tired of seeing us, and struggle and go through things." And I understand it on one level, but again, you don't know if you don't know where you've been, you don't know where you're going, right?
Mm-hmm.
And more than anything, and I've kind of learned this through the movies I've made, it's important to own your history. And it's important to own especially the pain of your history.
Mm-hmm.
And when you don't own the pain of your history, then people can use it against you. And that's kind of one of the things that I think I'm seeing a little bit with a few young people now, is that because these images are disturbing, and because you can have your own channel now, and you don't have to see any of our pain if you don't want to. You can just live a life where you're excluded from seeing any of the negative things that have happened to us in this country.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a pretty nice life, you know. But the problem is it's not truth.
Yeah.
And I would say it kind of, it gives you less of a full rounded. You're not a real American if you don't know. Just like when we try to tell our story, I mean, to others, our story is the American story.
Yeah.
I mean, our story is the American story. And when we don't see that ourselves, I think that's a real problem.
No, I hear you, and I've had these conversations ad infinitum, ad nauseum, as you can imagine, about these black slave narratives that we see come out from time to time, and so I know that conversation well. The only thing I would add to it, and I say this, with great respect, because it's as real as rain, and that is that you would never hear anybody say there are too many Holocaust movies. too many Holocaust narratives, too many Holocaust stories. You'll never hear that. And again, that's not throwing shade on anybody. I'm just saying that we have this penchant for saying we're tired of seeing this, but there's never too much of that. I think you take my point, so I'll leave it right there. As my big mama would say, we're going to leave that lay where the good Lord done flung it. Our remaining moments with Kevin Wilmot when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
Stirring fiber, exercising, frequent trips to the store for more laxatives and fiber. Sounds like your constipation with belly pain is a lot to manage. But if your symptoms that keep coming back are signs of irritable bowel syndrome with constipation or IBS-C, ask your doctor how Linzess can help you get ahead of it. Linzess linaclotide is a prescription medicine that treats IBS-C in adults. It's not a laxative. It's a once-daily pill that helps you get ahead of your symptoms. It's proven to help you have more frequent and complete bowel movements and helps relieve overall abdominal symptoms, belly pain, discomfort, and bloating. These symptoms were studied in combination, not individually. Do not give Linzess to children less than 2. It may harm them. Do not take Linzess if you have a bowel blockage. Get immediate help if you develop unusual or severe stomach pain, especially with bloody or black stools. The most common side effect is diarrhea, sometimes severe. If it's severe, stop taking Linzess and call your doctor right away. Other side effects include gas, stomach area pain, and swelling. Learn more at linzess.com or call 1-800-LINZESS.
Hear that? That's the sound of your life. Perfectly imperfect. Beating in rhythm to the world you've created. But every time you drive after drinking, the music gets drowned out. Your life sounds pretty great. Don't let a buzz ruin it. Buzz driving is drunk driving. Don't drive buzzed. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. LA County's new Justice Care and Opportunities Department, or JCOD, is here to support justice-involved individuals and their families. The JCOD Support Center is now taking calls at 1-833-LACJCOD. That's 1-833-522-5263. Available 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., the Support Center is your one-stop shop for re-entry issues and court support. They offer court reminders, connections to local services, transportation assistance for housing, court appearances, and childcare. The JCOD hotline provides personalized help to connect you with services that you need. And don't forget to check out justiceconnect.org for more information. Remember, it's free and available every day at 1-833-522-5263. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Freedom is an endless meeting. So let's get back to it with Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Kevin Wilmot, at least for the next 4 minutes. I have enjoyed this conversation immensely with this Academy Award-winning writer and director and professor. Kevin Wilmot has done some amazing work over the years. When you look back very quickly here, Kevin, at the impact specifically of Black Klansmen, your collaboration with Spike, what do you make of that? Because that thing, I think, is going to be on the list of classics in the years to come.
Oh, I appreciate that, Tavis. You know, I think I'm probably most proud of, and it, you know, and it goes to Spike's genius, you know, that he didn't pull any punches. You know, he wasn't afraid to go all the way with that film. And you know, we would always kind of joke about that Trump kind of wrote himself into the ending of the movie with Charlottesville. You know, and you know, it's like, it's not that we didn't try to write him into it. I mean, he wrote himself into it, and I think that if we get through this thing like we hope we do, and we come out on the other end of this, and we'll be able to look back on this period of American life and kind of see how we got here. Yeah. And that's a lot what we do in Black Klansmen. We kind of show how we got here. Sure. You know, in various ways. Yeah. But now we're here, and the next chapter of this is is an open question. I mean,
No.
where's this movie going to end? I wish I could say I had the new ending to
No, that's that.
to Black Panther, to Black Klansman 2. You
No,
know, but that ending is not yet to be written.
That is that Kingian question, right? Where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? Let me offer this as my exit question. I'll give the last 60 seconds to you. No matter what happens in this next chapter over these next 4 years in the American story, I'll say a brief word here quickly about the value, indeed the necessity of black folk continuing to tell our stories. Kevin Wilmot.
Well, I think if we hold on to ourselves, hold on to who we are, dig deep into what the ancestors gave us, and take our pain and use it as a weapon to free the world, everything's going to be fine.
That's why he's an Academy Award-winning writer, because he knows how to turn a phrase and how to answer a question that was as loaded as that one was. But he took it and ran with it quite beautifully and quite eloquently. He's Academy Award-winning writer and director Kevin Wilmot, who I've enjoyed immensely having on this program for this hour. Kevin, all the best to you this year, my friend. Thank you for your time.
You too, Tavis. Thank you, man. Appreciate you having me.
Deeply appreciate you being on. Just like that, 3 hours gone. Tomorrow is Friday. So tomorrow, the best of Tavis Smiley. 3 hours you may have missed this week. And, man, we got a difficult decision to make between now and tomorrow. So many great conversations this week. Thank you for tuning in to Tavis Smiley. Until the best of tomorrow. And as always, keep the faith.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. Wednesday night's plane crash near Reagan National Airport is the most serious U.S. air disaster in years. The last major crash was in 2009 when a Colgan Air flight near Buffalo killed 50 people. This crash involved an American Airlines jet with